Before I let you go, I've never asked you this question. I'll ask it before I let you go. You got a good Anthony Hopkins story from Westworld. You got one where, because, I mean, this guy's knighted. He's Sir Anthony Hopkins, for crying out loud. And what do you got for me on the set of Westworld with him?
Yeah, Tony is incredible. I mean, Tony, like, you know, we show up on set to rehearse. It might be 6:30 in the morning. That guy's going full bore. 6:30 in the morning, and he's like 80-some years old. Super energized, super quick mind, and he's just charging. But his thing is built into his contract that he has limited hours on set. He's not doing the 17-hour day at, like, you know, 80-plus years old. He's not, nah. So I think he had, like, I don't know, 9, 10 hours, whatever. So one day, we're doing this scene, and it's hot, you know, because we film up north of LA in like the high desert, and it's hot as hell. And we're supposed to be outside walking up this dusty road back and forth. And I think however long we'd been there, it was almost like, you know, 5 o'clock, and you know, we were hitting Anthony's time to blow the whistle, you know. And we were walking the thing, and I look at Fred, the director, and he's kind of trying to figure out the shot, and I said, man, you better figure this out pretty quick, because I don't think Tony's walking down this hill too much more. And he's like, okay, you got it. Sure enough, 5 o'clock hit. We walked up here. Tony said to Fred, time to go. And we were done.
That's it?
It was it. It was like, yeah, you know.
He called cut?
Cut. Okay, I'm off. Bring the car. I mean, he didn't know anybody, anything. He's paid his dues, and he's 80 plus years old, and it was like 105 degrees out there. Tony said, "Time to go home," and so we did.
Do you ever, you know, again, you're here with this guy, and any time that's alone time, do you ask him about like Silence of the Lambs or anything like that, or do you that's just not the way you handled business?
No, we talked about a lot of stuff.
The titans here.
We talked about, you know, his career. We talked about politics. I mean, we talked about, you know, history. You know, he's broad interests. I mean, his career is an interesting one, or is almost a singular one, because he comes from the, like, kind of that Olivier, you know, Shakespeare, London actor days, and he kind of goes from there to Westworld, you know, and there are not a lot of people who do that. He might be the only one. So we talked a lot of things. He told me, I'll tell you another story.
Sure.
I don't know if I should tell this story.
Oh, well, now we're in it.
Okay. So Tony, there's a guy in my neighborhood in Brooklyn that I used to see, who was would drink and was really, like, ugly.
Okay.
And when the show came out, he said that, I saw him in the neighborhood. He was a lovely guy, except when he drank. And I saw him. He said, I see you're in this new show. This is years ago with Anthony Hopkins. He said, Tony's great. I said, how do you know Tony? He said, I know him from Los Angeles. He's kind of a mentor to me because he was in AA programs. And Tony had issues with alcohol and is now a major figure, apparently, among people who are recovering. He told me this story that he had been up for a role, or was going to do a role with Olivier at the National Theater. I forget the role, some piece of Shakespeare. And for whatever reasons, maybe he involved, behavior, he was pushed aside. And another actor, Christopher Plummer, was given the role, and Tony was replaced. He said that he went to see forgive me, Tony, if I'm divulging this, but it's a lovely story. He went to see the show, and he'd had a couple. And he went backstage after to express his thoughts to Christopher Plummer on his performance, which were not complimentary. He went off, apparently.
Oh, my.
Again, this was prior to his being sober which he has been for decades now. And anyway, so he left. Years pass, decades pass, like something like 45 years pass.
Yeah.
And he runs into Christopher Plummer, and he apologizes. Christopher Plummer's like, what are you talking about, man? But I just thought it was it's so indicative, I think, of who he is, and just a wonderfully humble and gracious and like kind of compassionate story.
So he held on to it
for 40 plus years.
And Christopher Plummer didn't recall it.
But it meant something, It meant, Tony had to make amends.
Wow.
Yeah.
So glad I asked you about him. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.